There's a number of sources in there. I don't know if I want to go through every one of them, but the big one obviously is right at the top, taxes. We're projecting 2 million. Fees, general and street, 21,000 and 35,000 respectively. Interest earnings on monies we have in the bank. We got some miscellaneous at 7,500. Police program sponsorship, 1,000. The electric franchise is a fairly good one at 270,000. Telecommunications franchise, video programming franchise, the public access and education and government channel distribution, PEG, 25,000. Beer and wine, what we can have for fees locally, budgeting at 9,000. I think years past it was somewhere else and not in this particular line, but it was collected. Alcoholic beverage excise tax from NC Department of Revenue, 25,000. Sales and use tax, we're projecting 200,000 there, down a little bit from the current year, but looking at the column of year-to-date 1.5, our sales tax collections are always about 3 months behind. So that's why that year-to-date is a little behind. But we feel pretty confident, Tress and I, that 2 million is a safe amount to budget for sales tax. You have to go down a little further to find something substantial. It's the Gully fire tax at 813,558. It's a little different than the sheet you saw before that we looked at, which was the Gully Fire District, but that was assuming 100% collection. This is assuming 98% collection. That's the only difference. Planning and zoning revenues at 8,000. And if you flip the page, another significant source of revenue for the general fund is right at the top, sanitation fees, 810,000. We upped that a little because of the additional housing units we're going to be bringing on during this fiscal year, not necessarily reflected in what we budgeted for the current year or year to date, but again, those lag a little bit. We get sale of cemetery lots or plots and opening and closing of graves, perpetual care, and restricted and unrestricted. Those are all revenues for cemetery. Recreation fees of $18,000. A little further down, some more recreation facility rental fees of $4,300. Now, hopefully that'll be more with our new rec center there and the old dry cleaner. We're hoping we will have more rentals there. It's not a serious source of income, but it helps. We're going to be able to get some reimbursement on the flood buyout to cover our administrative expenses. So we budgeted that in there at 30,000. Farmers market vendor fees, we have those in there. The police are looking at getting the block grant once again for the police at 25,000. And Chief, do you remember what that's used for? Tough book computers for in the cars. And we have that transfer from Fund 30, which is the cost allocation plan to cover administrative staffs that are used for the enterprise fund to pay that to the general fund. That's where that 417,000 comes from. We also have a transfer there from Fund 41 of 201,000. Fund 41 is which one?
Fund 41 is the general fund capital reserve.
Okay.
So it's just money that
It's being moved in.
It's just money that has accumulated over the years where we planned to do something and it never happened, so it went back in the fund balance.
Now, those aren't necessarily an ongoing source of revenue. They're a transfer in. So the number at the bottom is 8,419,000. And if you remember on the summary page, way back on page 5, that shows revenues of 7.8 million. Those are actual revenues. This number here you see, because we have to account for the transfers in, it's about $600,000 more. So
it's really not coming out of fund balance, it's coming out of, like, it's basically covered some one-time expenses that we won't.
So then on page 101, we have the MSD fund, and that brings in right at that a 10-cent tax on all the real estate within the MSD district brings in about $40,000 a year. We're expecting some interest earnings, and we're expecting some revenues from sales of MSD banners. What the Downtown Strong Advisory Board has proposed is that we don't use the company we have been using in the last 3 years for banners, that we buy them from a local vendor, have the businesses design what they want to have on them, and then we acquire them and the businesses buy them from us. It'll be a significant savings for them and a little revenue for us. Fund 30 is the water and sewer fund. The big line item there is the water revenue at 1.6 million and the sewer revenue at 2.7. And the rest of those are just various other sources of revenue. Water and sewer taps, sewer surcharges, and we only have 4 sewer surcharge payers. It's the prison, it's the jail, Atlantic Natural Foods. Who's the 4th one? Or maybe there are only 3.
That's it.
That's 3. The one that always surprises me is the late fees. And we bring in $115,000 a year in late fees. That's a real number.
We should encourage it.
We try to discourage that as much as we can. So we're looking at total revenues for water and sewer, $4,937,000. The next fund is Fund 30. It's the storm sewer. And again, our
40.
Yep. Fund 40, I'm sorry. Stormwater fees bring in $145,000. And that's been pretty consistent with the actuals year to date and what we budgeted last year. Next page is Fund 41, which is general fund capital reserves. We don't really have a source of revenue for that other than we're going to have a fund balance appropriation that we're going to be bringing in. And then on the expense side, you'll see a similar number coming out to cover a capital improvement project for the general fund. Fund 42 is the Powell bill money, or this is motor fuel tax. In North Carolina, it's called Powell bill money. We get $170,000 a year, and then you can see the Senator Barnes earmark for street and sidewalks improvement. Now, with what you guys approved with the street overlay, all of it we're going to use on streets. And we still have money left in Powell to do sidewalks again, which you'll see when we get into the expense side of things. We're budgeting to do another $50,000 worth of sidewalk or $40,000 worth of sidewalk work. So hopefully we will get Alston Street finished this year, and then we can move on to another one. Stuck there for a couple of years. Fund 43 is the water sewer capital reserves. Again, no source of revenue there. We're just pulling in some fund balance, again, to use as local match for some of those water and sewer projects that we have, and you'll see later on in the expense side. Nothing for drug seizure money as far as revenue. And then Fund 67 is general fund capital projects, and that's where we're going to be putting in our Part F grant, our local match, $316 in the grant, and our local match at $316 for a total of $632,000. And then Fund 42 is the water sewer capital projects. As far as revenues, we're going to have the $984,000 grant for the Regency State's sewer extension project. We'll have that $85,000 state grant for studying our sewer fallout line. We'll have the $500,000 grant for the Essex Road sewer extension, and we got to match that with $95,000. Then we'll have the community project fund, Don Davis's community project fund, which we're making a request to be able to use that for the Regency lift station abandonment project. It was granted for the Regency and Essex Roads sewer extension projects, but we ended up getting state funding for that, so we didn't need Don Davis's earmark for that. But we were told we can make a request to use it for a near similar project. And getting rid of that Regency lift station is going to be a real blessing in the future because, you know, all of Bradford Place behind the Food Line Shopping Center, Walmart, all that sewage goes to that lift station. And, you know, we extended the sewer line out along Eastern Avenue to pick up everything all the way out to the John Deere dealer. And as that area develops, which it will in the future, it's all going to go to that lift station. So at some point, the capacity of that lift station is going to be exceeded. If we can eliminate that with the gravity flow line, we will be money ahead.
That goes under the highway then.
It'll have to go under the highway, yes, wherein is the big expense. So-
you think that gravity feed is gonna be able to help?
Well, Mike Tolson is,
That distance in between. That's a whole lot of distance to flow that crap.
he's very confident the elevations are going to work. Mike Tolson is with Mike and Associates.
Are we confident that the 959 will cover it?
That's all the grant money we have. So we'll see.
have to cover it.
We'll see.
Would that
Starting,
open up on the other side of the highway for growth also, potentially?
it would, except what's immediately on the other side is low-lying land and you really can't develop in it.
Right.
I mean, it's essentially just a little east to where the dog pound used to be, Nash County's animal shelter, that got moved out to.
Mhm.
What's east of there for quite a ways is low-lying ground, and you really can't do a whole lot with it. Starting on page 105 then are the general fund department budgets. The first one is the council. We're looking at budgeting $48,135. Now with your desire to keep pay for council the same, that'll go down slightly, that much, a little bit. Probably put it back near the 41,000, which we budgeted for FY24. The next is the administrative budget, which is basically the town clerk and the town manager. And that's at 326,367. And you can see, you know, comparing the line items there, where the increases and decreases in some of the line items were or have been are proposed. A big one there is some increase in software and data support. One thing we're going to be doing the beginning of the fiscal year, well, maybe even a little sooner, where we're switching our internet provider and we're going to go to CloudWise, and it's probably going to save us about $300 a month. We spend about $1,500 a month right now for internet for all of our library, police, fire, town hall, parks and rec, the town shop or the garage, where that's going to go down about $300. The only thing about CloudWise is they don't have a fiber line out to the Fellowship Church at this time. That's one of the things when we get the report on the due diligence for the purchase of that, we'll be talking about that at the June 4th.
Do they have any kind of line out there?
Well, Optimum's out there. Yeah.
So now, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just looking at anything that has an increase. So professional services, the travel and training, and the software and data. So those are, I know, all things that we've discussed during the other one. Can you just give us a brief overview of what those are?
So what do we all have in there for software and data support for that 12,800? And Tressa can pull it up and we can see the actual history.
Oh, you want to see what
Just-
the increase is
yeah,
for
what it-
this
yeah.
year? Okay.
Compared
You have it on the notes.
Mm, just got it.
So on this beat.
In the spreadsheet between FY twenty-five and budgeted FY twenty-four, there's a wide column that has all the notes in it. We didn't have enough width on the page to print all that.
I got it right here.
So the travel and training is just the two of you? The difference is, pretty big difference for two of you.
We cut it
Yeah,
back last year. We didn't go to anything. I went to one.
Oh, I
class
seen
last
that.
year.
I see 23 was higher. Okay.
yeah, FY twenty-three, we had 7,000 in there, and the last couple of years, we just haven't been able to afford to do it.
I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I just thought it was a big increase.
Software and data is like the new agenda. Well, the agenda packet itself is not as cheaper to actually do the agendas, but it's the video indexing and being able to have that. as
Okay, that's
part.
the software.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, that's some of
portion.
the software.
Okay, I got
Yeah,
it. I got
and
it
it's
pulled up here. So which one? Which one?
So professional services increased by like
So that's
4,000-ish.
Civics Plus and social media archiving.
Okay. And
which
then,
Civics Plus does the capture of all the social media.
yes,
That's y'all voted on. Yeah, so that's was three. That was most of it. That was like 3,000 and stuff.
and then travel and training increased by about 4,000.
Yeah.
Travel and training. It's gonna be school government training, clerk conferences, ICMA conferences, plus travel expenses.
I didn't go to the conference last year, and I only took one class.
And then 6,000 jump on the software and data.
That is the jump on the
Okay, so $12.99 was for Canva per month. Adobe $240. Atomove, Otter was
Otter.
moved
Move
to
that
planning.
department
Okay.
for planning.
Smarsh, that was $49.08.
So Smarsh is a text message capturing, so that if we ever have a public records request for conversations between department heads in text messages
Or
They cap-
citizens.
or citizens, it captures the text messages because we have town cell phones.
So if they're deleted on the individual cell phone, they're captured and recorded and archived.
And then the last thing was $75.26 for Green's agenda package.
That is not the website package, but it is the agenda and the video indexing.
So all of those
Yeah. In professional services, you're going to see as we go through these budgets, and we didn't budget enough for town attorney. In years.
And I don't know that there's also all these legal ads and stuff that because we're growing, we have to do public hearings. And it's very, and we're required by law to notice public hearings, and they're very expensive.
Hopefully we're working on getting rid of that.
You still have to have
Public hearing.
public hearings.
You got to be transparent.
Yeah,
You
no,
still
I-
have to have public
Probably,
hearings.
yeah.
The next page, if you want to move on, if you're ready, 106, that's the budget for HR, human resources. So the first line there is full-time salaries. Again, professional services have gone up. I think Trey has proposed in that for the next pay study to do both public safety and, am I speaking out of turn?
That's correct. Public safety. It will be a full town pay study.
But it would be done by a third-party consultant versus
So That's
in-house.
professional service.
So that was the increase from the 27 from the 10 from last year.
That,
Proposed.
but if historically, if you look back, that's always been under budgeted. Like you look at 22 or 17, it got a little bit over, but also not enough stuff was budgeted last year. So prime example, when we do OPEB reporting, that's a little about $5,000 when it's all said and done. So there's a lot with OPEBs in there. Tracy, you got my notes, don't you?
So it's legal, actuary, OPEB reporting, background checks, plus $1,500 for the $15,900 for the salary study.
But the bulk of it is the pay study. About $16,000 is the pay study.
If you look in year-to-date for that line item, we're at 28,437. Most all of that significance is legal fees, attorneys for, the employment separation that we went through with our,
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, yeah, that, okay.
That one. So 15,900 for the outside person to do the pay study, but I have to say, you just did an amazing job. on
I
pay
think
study.
so too.
Do we really, like, are you stretched to the max? If,
Well, it's not necessarily a stretch to the max, but it's almost like a recalibration, if that makes sense. So Randy and I were talking about it, and he was saying, and I like this. Most towns do this about every 3 years to give them a baseline,
Mhm.
and then it's internally done the next 2
In between.
years just to keep us competitive. And it's not just me looking at data as someone who's impartial, this, that, and the other. We haven't had one since 2009. So it's more to get us recalibrated to make sure, hey, this is where I said we're at, but is that good enough? Is it too much? Is it not enough? Is it spot on?
Can
So
we
it's really
recalibrate
to
next
kind of
year?
get us, huh?
can we recalibrate next year?
It should be fine.
FY 26 instead of 25.
And I would,
I mean, it would save us 15,900, which would put us a little bit more on our way.
especially when we did a pretty good one in-house, I
Right.
think.
Okay, make a note of that. Yeah, and hopefully the legal expenses that we've incurred in the current fiscal year hopefully won't continue, and you won't realize what we have there, but that's one we can look at shaving 15,900 off of.
Trey, if you could just go over the software and data support.
Yes, so that
Great.
was all of the NeoGov stuff that I had presented. There was 4 different modules technically, but 2 go with each other, 2 go with each other. One was core HR and benefits. Which me personally, if we're going to keep anything in, I would prefer to keep the on-site, the onboarding and insight, which is the applicant tracking part of it, to where I can better get out job postings out. I can do onboarding paperwork via that. The core HR and the benefits is the more expensive of the 2,
Mhm.
but it's not as needed, if that makes sense. It would make it easier with us cutting that administrative assistant position. However, if I had to choose, I would choose those 2. But I would also say I'd be willing to cut that and get pay study back in. But but with that being said, it's 4 different modules, 2 go together. And two, but the onboarding, the core HR benefits is probably 24,000. I'll have in front of me 25,000 of that 38,000.
Okay.
We'll asterisk that line item too.
Yeah. So your preference would be to keep the pay study and get rid of the,
I'll trade you 23,000 or more and keep onboarding and insight and the pay study. So instead of 59, I give you 23 change.
I'll take it.
But wait, there's more.
Okay, so that's an asterisk. We'll come back to that, I guess. Thank you.
If you guys are good with that one, the next one is finance. And this is Tressa and Yvette, Samantha, and Rebecca.
This is Yvette.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Yvette and Samantha are paid out of enterprise water and sewer. So this is just Rebecca and Tressa. We put some in for part-time salaries. Well, I did mostly have Melanie come every once in a while and review things with Tressa as we go forward. She's been invaluable as far as a resource, an expert in budgeting and fund accounting, and she was our interim finance director for 8-9 months, about the time I first got here, when we were in between finance directors. So what does that get us her here a couple times a month?
Well, I'm just hoping to get her maybe quarterly, but I mean, I'm hoping at some point. I really won't need her because she helps me a lot, not even getting paid. I can call her at any time and she's available. But I do need her
But
to
she's
come
been
on.
very helpful with you
has.
switching
I
over
can
and
follow
everything.
her, and she definitely get a lot of things into perspective. I feel much better.
I think $7,000 to train you up properly and to make you feel confident, I think is well
Well
worth it.
worth it.
But professional services, tell me about that.
Okay, so professional service is, it is a little more due to the auditor. I'm not for sure The auditor and DC3 expenses, basically, that's a total, because last year, it was a lot less because John did the financial statements.
Okay.
And in prior years, the auditor did the financial statements and the audit. So it's basically putting them back in to let someone else do the financial statements. That's what the increase would be.
And it's a new auditor.
It is the new auditor.
Isn't as economical as the old auditor, but the old auditor doesn't do municipal audits anymore. So
They're really good.
yeah, they are good.
Put that out there.
They're good. So, and then, another large line item in that particular budget is software, but, and data support. And that's up a little bit over what we did here and what we've seen in, well, everything except for actual 2022, that was 35,000. We're proposing 32,000. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that in
It must just had a little slight increase, so I mean that should cover it.
That's our main fund accounting software and that we use for payroll, tracking all the expenses. It's got many capabilities that Tressa wants to use and will be using, and they've always been there. We just really haven't taken advantage of it, but we're going to get much more utilization out of that software with Tressa. It's just a matter of putting the stuff in and it gives you good data out. So finance, $273,388 for total budget. The next budget is for planning. And this is Sean and Thomasine. This is where they're paid out of, and these are their planning department expenses.
There's some new line items in there and more travel and training.
Yeah. Overall, it's a drop from what we budgeted for this year, but it's definitely an increase over. You look at the total bottom line there. It's in line. Really isn't a whole lot of change there.
No, the totals definitely, but I'm just looking at a little, like a double increase in travel and training, equipment maintenance, vehicle maintenance. It's a new line item. Contract services is going up 3,000. Computers and equipment is new line items.
Councilwoman Burns, the reason why travel and training went up,
Mhm.
when we acquired Ms. Jones from the city of Wilson, she did bring her building levels and 3 building trades. That was one of the things she did request, if we could
Okay.
help her. Maybe we don't do building special, we could still send her to
Maintain.
see you guys to keep it maintained.
Okay, gotcha.
And also, I need to keep mine so maintained. I haven't been in about 3-4 years, so I got to consider some plans to keep mine. So minimal housing decrease, but we went up in contract services because we just felt it was good to keep a contractor going out cutting the grass for abatement versus having our guys go out there for safety concerns. Mr. Joyner and Dennis have been doing the work for us. Both of them are used to doing that type of work, dealing with hostile citizens when they come knock on the door to cut the grass. I'd rather put them, and I'm not saying in a way like that, but
Third party.
I'd rather have a third party that's used to doing that versus putting our guys in that type of line of fire, that jeopardy of out there trying to cut the grass. So that's why we went up in that, because by November last year, when the new budget came in July, we were already kind of cutting the bare minimum, trying to keep Mr. Joyner going, and also balance our guys. And I think Lee, he's coming back in, but he probably could have tested Calvin States the burden off of having the environmental guys go out and cut grass for us.
Yeah, I agree.
Outside party.
And then the computers and equipment, the last one.
Equipment under 5K is anything that we may need that may come up, that may need to be done, that we can get. Computers, I know my computer is on its last leg. I was gonna budget get one this year, but I still got attached to it because it does so much. I still like, and I can't find a new one to do, but me and Ms. Jones both need to do computers right now.
No more questions on planning. We can go on to the next general fund budget department, which is buildings. And I believe Coy, you put this one together. So full-time salaries in this is whom?
This is Chris.
Oh, well, would you mind sitting up here so you can get picked up on the microphone for the folks at home?
Yeah, that full-time salary there is Chris Haycock, our Parks and Facility Maintenance Supervisor.
And we got some money in there for overtime, part-time salaries in there at 16,000. FICA, healthcare, health insurance, retirement, 401k. You know, all those are a percentage of the first line there. So I don't know, as council members, as you go down, if there's any of those line items that stand out to you, you got any questions about, please feel free to ask. Tressa can pull up the notes and we can tell you exactly what's all.
So what are the maintenance for the buildings? What are those? What's that amount for? Is that like clean supplies? Or?
So the building maintenance accounts for each department, that is like your HVAC filters, lights, anything that breaks throughout the year that we need to replace, minor repairs, that type of item.
So can you tell us about the increases, like Parks and Rec, 1,000 to 4,000, the Public Works, 5,000 to 10,000?
So the increase in Parks and Rec, we've budgeted nominal there because with us being in a leased facility, the landlord there handles a lot of those maintenance items. So we don't have anything specific. We're just increasing that, knowing that we will have to replace filters and that type of thing at that facility.
But it's going to be a brand new facility, basically.
It should be minimal. We do take, building maintenance if we have anything at the junction stage or at the park, if it's building maintenance related, we do take out of that account as well. But yes, should be minimal there. The increase for Public Works, and I know Lee had, we had that at 5. I know Lee had some stuff. If you want to share what you were looking to do there.
Yeah, we're looking at
People like to hear it at home.
which line item?
That's the building maintenance. We increased it to 10. This one's not accurate.
Oh, yeah, we're looking to make sure that we're able to meet some of the potential security needs and upfitting for the auditor's recommendations for, fences, some inventory management, fencing, things like that.
Have a better handle and account on parts and stuff we have in stock and in inventory.
And I've noticed on a couple of these safety
Yes.
increases.
So safety increase, we budgeted for AEDs at all the facilities this year. So that's that difference from 500 up to 5,000. That accounts for, we currently have an AED at the Parks and Rec building, which will move with us. But we do not have one at any of our other facilities.
And the $1,263 each.
At $1,260 some dollars each.
Mhm.
It's like
That would be
like Glover Park and stuff like that.
No, this is for library, council chambers, town hall, public works, all of our buildings. I'd love to have one at Glover Park. There's just no way to really secure it to make sure it stays there. And then you'll also notice contract services is a slight increase. There is a fee for the key fobs and cameras at the police fire complex that we accounted for there.
And that's $4,096 annually.
So key fob, and what was the other one?
Cameras support at the police fire complex.
Fire inspection and pest control. So that makes up that 10,000.
And capital improvement at parks, that's via our interlocal agreement with Nash County.
Yes, the 20,000 annually at Glover Park. And then the 4,000 in there is for parking berms at both Glover Park and the new rec center down here. And we had budgeted 15,000 for an HVAC unit at police fire. We did have Langley Maintenance come and do preventative maintenance on all of our HVAC units there. They feel confident that we can get another 3 to 5 years out of that unit. So we went ahead and took that out now. However, if that unit does go down, it will probably look at replacing it rather than repairing it.
Because of its age.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we have a total for buildings of 269,652.
So you don't anticipate any tires because gas, oil, and tires is low if you put a set of tires on something.
I don't anticipate needing any tires.
All right, okay.
So if you're good with the buildings budget, the next one is on the next page is police. We've got full-time salaries at 1.3 million, holiday pay at 12,000, part-time salaries at 10,300. And then professional services at 40,000. We dropped that down a little bit, but I think we get that all covered. Maybe if you want to come up to the microphone, in case anybody's got any questions.
So what is professional services as far as the police is concerned?
BC3. BC3.
Yeah, VC3. That's mainly the thing that comes out of that is VC3.
That's the email thing?
Their emails, that's
Yeah.
a big part of it.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity,
Part of it.
IT support.
IT support.
I need to figure out how to delete those spams.
I don't think attorney, did we take attorney fees out of that this time?
We didn't.
We did.
Probably should have been split, but it's in the past now. So.
Yeah. But that is
So we-
also a decrease too.
You know, the health and the state retirement, 401k, FICA, all that's a percent of the wages paid. That's how those are calculated. Travel
The separation allowance.
That's for
That-
basic.
Yeah, statutorily, you know, when it's a huge benefit for local law enforcement that I don't think, you know, people talk about enough to encourage young people to get into law enforcement. But you get your 30 years of service in, you start when you're 19, you know, by the time you're 55, you have your 30 years in.
Okay, let me ask you this. Suppose I work in Rocky Mount for 15 years and I come over here and finish up and I retire. Whose pays that then?
Wherever you retire.
The last
The
employer.
last employee.
Yeah.
The thing that people don't realize is if you read the law, it should be for firemen, EMS, and dispatchers too. It's just never been pushed.
So you're putting a lot of tires on the cars, $96,000.
That's gas full and tires.
Police block grant.
The police block grant, that is the grant for the computers. That is
Oh.
money that the state gives us.
It's a grant.
We put in for the grant and that's where we buy those computers for the cars.
Okay, all right.
How is leasing the cars working out, Chief Joyner?
It's working out really good. Because if we bought 4 cars this year, the average price of what they're at there, $47,500,
Mhm.
you're looking at $190,000, which we're only going to pay out in a lease for the year for all 6 vehicles at $75,000 is what we would pay on the lease.
Mhm.
So the upfit fees, where you see where the equipment under 5,000, that's where the upfit fees come from to put the radio, the lights, everything on the car. So that's where that comes. That's where a big expense is on those vehicles is the upfit fees. So we've shopped around and we found a different vendor this year. We're going to try so a little bit better cost in it.
So we've gone from 70 to 113,000 to 100,000 on equipment under 5,000. So what is that?
Or did you say that now?
7,400.
7,400.
That's the upfit.
Yeah, that's
on
the
the
up fee.
vehicles.
That because the price has gone up, the cameras on those cars, the price has gone up on those in-car cameras. That's where the increase came out on
And the radio units in
them.
them.
Yeah,
Big
the radio
difference.
units. For like the upfit of a patrol car with the radio and everything, and I don't have my notes in front of me, but it's like $21,000. But if you put the upfits in a car that's got the kennels in it, it's like $35,000 for the kennel.
Or a K9
Yeah.
vehicle.
And the increase of 5,000 in dues and subscriptions.
That's the flock cameras
That's the block cameras.
Okay.
and investigation too.
Mhm.
Investigation.
Yes, investigation tools.
Yeah, gas, oil, and tires, 96,000.
Yeah.
I mean, how many?
And we didn't do an increase on that because we were actually able to buy a bulk amount of oil this year when it went on sale. So hopefully that'll carry us almost through this whole year
Good.
with oil changes.
So in total for police, we're looking at budgeting 2,677,000. Current year was 2.3. Year to date, we're at 1.8. We got 2 more months to go.
And also where it says holiday pay, that is also last year, Tressa, correct me if I'm wrong, John put that in the budget with the salaries and you put it back in this year where it actually comes out of that.
You should, because it creates a negative,
Right.
a balance, because we're not budgeting for it, but we're really paying out police and fire. So it should be budget because it hurts,
Right.
it hurts our budget. We're paying it, so you need to put it in budget.
Right.
Any questions on the police budget? What might be included in an item, what might not be included? If not, we'll move on to fire. And total budget for the fire is right at just a little over $2 million. And we have full-time salaries and holiday pay, part-timers, and professional services. We upped it 1,000 over the current budget. You can see where we're at year to date. It's 12,672. So we're right in there. The chief is with his numbers. Pension funds, postage, telephone, emails, travel and training. Looking at budgeting the same. I don't know if we'll get to 15,000 for the current fiscal year. We're only at 8841 so far. Unless you got people to send places yet.
So we've got one that's in training this week. He's at the car seat school. That's in Concord. So
On vehicle maintenance, that line item went up from 49.71. 49 wasn't enough. We're already at 54 year to date.
So really quick on that travel and training, also remember that comes where we do the town does the school reimbursement for folks going to college. And we actually have 5 in that program now. So that's $5,000 right there.
Tuition reimbursement.
Yeah, tuition reimbursement.
Good point. So I don't know if you guys looking at any of them other line items, anything stand out to you? To have a question about?
The vehicle maintenance went up 22,000 based on what?
Ladder truck.
Okay, thanks.
A 22-year-old ladder truck.
Ladder truck, okay.
Nickel and diamond us.
Gasoline tires went up 9,000.
That is because
That went up for everybody.
yes, the last set of tires we bought on to replace on one of the engines, I think if I remember right, it went up like $1,400 for the last time we put tires on the truck.
Goodness.
So it says new tires for ladder 14, engine 142,
Right,
and then your truck.
right.
Software and data support has gone up a bit. Computers is going up a little bit.
So the software and data, that is where the county is switching over the servers that we use, and we've got to switch to, we switched over to a new company.
Mhm.
All the county departments did, and there's an increase in what their fees are. So we did a lot of shopping around. We talked to like 5 different vendors. So,
How long we had that ladder truck now, chief?
and we bought it in 2019. We took delivery out in 2020, March of 2020.
And we already had to put tires on it?
and have it repaired.
It ain't going no damn where.
Well,
Driver,
you gotta remember though, the tires, because they're dual axles back there, when they turn, it lights a whole lot more and it takes more off the tire than what it would if it was just a single axle truck.
We ain't got a top tank system on that truck.
Why not?
We don't have a tank dump where you lift those tires up when you make sharp turns. They don't come up on that?
No, that truck is 80,000 pounds.
Okay, I'm saying that. Okay.
Any other questions or on fire? We'll move on. Next is central maintenance.
Kevin. Goodness.
Yep. This would be Kevin Taylor, our mechanic. The master of keeping things moving.
He really is great.
Mhm.
The only thing I see is the professional services and the supplies.
So supplies went up because we moved their supplies from buildings to put all of it under Lee's budget. So we just kind of moved it from Corey's budget to Lee's because it's all being paid from.
Correct.
so you must have done that because
Clean up the fund
the
management.
previous years were a lot lower, so it must have just happened.
We
Yeah.
just- We just transferred it.
And then professional service increase.
Professional service, VC3 and emails, which we, Lee just sent an email to kind of revamp the list of who actually need full VC3 service and whether they just need the $4 email service.
Mhm.
So we should be cleaning that up too. I'm just not sure.
Mhm.
We're not gonna know until we flush it all out to see exactly how much it's gonna be.
So $98,707 for central maintenance. Any specific questions on any of those line items?
Maintenance.
Equipment maintenance or vehicle maintenance? Did you have a question, Kate? Oh, okay. The next budget then is streets, general fund streets. And this is one of Lee's also. Full-time salaries, who we have in this one, Lee? Or Tressa, who gets paid out of
Do
this?
we,
We moved the superintendent
okay,
to water and sewer, and Junior and Brent.
Junior and part of
Junior
Brand,
fully paid out of here, and Brent is paid 60% out of here. The rest of his salary is in Fund 40, which is stormwater.
correct.
So Brent's the street sweeper, the vac truck pickup leaves guy. And, because he cleans storm sewers, it's appropriate to take
Mhm.
wages of his partially out of storm sewer, so. Looking down any of those line items, I don't know if anything pops out at you.
The new street signs.
We just, to put more clarity to the budget, we just added a line for street signs specifically rather than pulling it from a general supplies line.
Okay, so that was in supplies and that's why it went from 13 to 10.
Correct.
Gotcha. And then which vehicles are included in there?
One flatbed dump truck. It's a landscape truck, flatbed or, low sidewalls.
Which works well with our mini excavators, they can't get up as high to get over the side,
Mhm.
tall side on a dump truck, but they're much handier in tight spots than a full-size backhoe. So streets are $377,921. We did not put new Christmas decorations in this budget yet. Because there hasn't been an agreement on what to get.
Ah.
Or how many, or is it all gonna be MSD expense, or is it gonna be general fund expense? Is the Chamber gonna be asked to contribute any? Flipping the page then is the sanitation budget. Again, this is one of Lee's, and we have 2 or 3 full-time salaries coming out of this particular, is it 2 or 3? 4.
Or
Okay.
Chris, Jalen, Taiwan, and Ryan.
So on this spreadsheet, I don't think we have made the switches. So on what you're seeing, it is just Chris, Jalen, and Juan, Shannon Juan.
Okay, so you have 3 in here. Okay.
And the vehicles, what are you purchasing here?
Vehicles, that budget line is for the request of the chipper truck, the box truck.
And what are we using now?
We are using an undersized, underpowered, pieced together F-350.
And we really need like a 550 or
Right. This
Bigger.
is
Well,
this is
You won't get a
about
550 for that price. Will you?
this is going to be, our hope is a quality used. That's what we were
gently used.
that's what we were shopping for when we came up with these budget numbers.
Yeah. When Taylor was here, he scored us some really good used vehicles, and we're hoping Brian can do the same.
And the increase from 7,500 to 20,000 in supplies.
That is the purchase of trash cans. They're $68.75 each. So that's like 15,000 for all the cans.
Mhm. To replace the old ones
The
and
garbage
to put in
carts.
the new ones.
Okay, chipper truck, we're gonna put that on good deals. Any value left in that truck?
Somebody, I'm sure.
Somebody will buy it.
Somebody.
Yep.
So a new property with a new trash can, the person pays for that when they move in.
We supply it.
Yep,
We supply it for
it's
free.
supplied.
Mhm.
There's no fee for that.
The only fee we have for trash cans, that is for the additional can,
Additional can.
which is at $6.50 or something.
So I think me and Corey talked about this, but couldn't we have a fee for new homes that would include something like that?
They're paying for the service, so I mean,
Kinda goes
completely
hand
up to
in
y'all,
hand.
but
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of goes hand in hand.
yeah.
Up
Good
to you
faith
guys.
effort.
Up to y'all, but they do pay for the service.
So total for sanitation is 749,638. Next is Park and Rec.
Randy,
Yes.
before we go to Park and Rec, I know we are kind of moving through this and getting it done, and that's probably all of our goal. I've spoken with you a few days ago, kind of trying to get a feel if we would pause and take a lunch break. There's a standard thing that I do on Wednesdays around 12. I hate to be the bearer and bring that up, being that we're chiming through it, but does it look like we're able to pause for that?
Sure.
How long you need?
Just
I'm not going to be able to go like multiple hours after the 1 o'clock mark. Can we go through this on our own at home, like mark up where we have questions and schedule another budget session so we can hash out what we're going to do?
We do have another one when?
Next week?
Next
Next
week.
week.
Next
Yeah.
week.
Next week.
So
Getting back to that ultimate question, the tax rate for this budget is at 61. Where would you guys like to be?
Lower than that.
I want to
Understood.
be lower than 58.
You want it lower than 58?
58 or lower.
So again,
That's
I can do
144,000.
yeah,
58.
I can go 58.
Yeah.
58 means we got to shave $145,500 off
I think
in the
that-
general
I think
fund.
that's the minimum. I mean, that or less.
we
Like,
don't need to go any lower.
I really
When they go any higher.
don't want to come back
Well,
next year and be like,
exactly.
oops, sorry, we lowered it too much. Now we're
And
going
then we got to
again.
raise it
I
again.
agree.
So honestly, 1 cent, 2 cents,
2
like
cents.
I can just something.
Because that's a good
can't-
faith
Well, the
effort.
58
Good faith
goes back to
effort,
where we
and
were.
we don't want to have to go,
Yeah.
58 is where we were. That's why.
I don't think we need to go that low. I think
But
50,
when we went from 58 to 61, it wasn't a valuation increase. It was just,
I know.
now
but
there's a
but
valuation.
You
increase.
realize it takes every cent we have to survive. We've got to be careful so we won't get exactly like she said and say, whoops, we decreased
Well,
it, but now we've got to raise
I
it
think we
5
could
cents.
find $144,000.
I said let's go to 59.
I agree. That's.
So
what do you
59.
think?
Yeah, and if we can, I
let's
mean,
show 'em
as
the
we
thing.
go through this and we're saying, you know what, this is more a want than a need, or this is something
Then
that
we
we can
could
put
raise
off
it,
to
but
next
right
year,
now, let's
whatever
say
it is.
59.
And that shows a good faith effort.
Exactly.
You know, that we're trending and moving in that direction. I guess the main thing is imagery, and we're trying to be sensitive because so much
Exactly.
cost related has been hit upon the constituents, the citizens.
And then at the same time, everything that went up for us individually
Right.
has gone up for the town.
Right.
And we're absorbing Rocky Mountain's increases in water and sewer and garbage and
Right.
Well,
GFL.
there's definitely needs. There's no
Yeah.
question
So
about that.
some movement is better than no movement.
Exactly.
So
And
we're showing
in
that we're trending.
But
In
Bill,
our
if you can
fee
find
scale.
us 500,000, go for it.
Amen.
I just think that at the end of the day, I just don't want to come back next year or the year after and say, all right, now we have to raise taxes.
I know, that's my concern too.
I moved to go to 59.
Okay, do I hear a
Second.
second? Okay, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Now, is it in agreement with everybody that we adjourn today and come back next week and
Next
we,
Tuesday.
next Tuesday, we
Next
study,
Wednesday, I'm sorry.
next Wednesday, we study and have any questions that we
Mhm.
need to be answered next week? Is everybody in agreement with that? Do I hear a motion that we adjourn and study at home and come back, next Wednesday?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. So thank you so much. Thank you, department heads. We're just so proud of you, and we're just believing we'll have the best budget we can and do the right thing for everybody. Thank you so much, and I'll see you Wednesday.